Kwenye account, weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Hello and welcome now as ever. This is KBC Channel 1 with me, Allan Aoko, and joining me alongside there on the screen is Lucy Maura for you. And remember, today we are still following the live Senate proceedings on the hearing and determination of the proposed removal by impeachment, the removal of the governor of Nairobi, Mike Mbuvi Sonko. We shall of course be crossing there from time to time just to find out the proceedings and how they are faring on. But for now, we want to go into our local stories where Makueni striking health workers are protesting a move by the county government to terminate contracts of 121 health workers on contract after they downed their tools. The medics said it is unfortunate for the county government to act in such a manner at a time when employees are striking and risking their lives in the line of duty due to lack of quality PPEs.
The health workers comprising of clinical officers, nurses and lab technicians marched in the streets of Wote town to the office of the Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana seeking his audience. They say the move to write termination letters to over 121 health workers amid a pandemic was ill-advised.
Ni vibaya sana kutuandika na contract, ndio wakati kama huu tumeitiza haki yetu mnaambiwa mnavutwa kazi. Sasa hivi kuna barua imetoka ya kusema kuna watu wanavutwa kazi. Mnavuta watu kazi sababu mliwaambia na contract wasiitize haki yao. Wakati watu wanaendesha magari kubwa kubwa kwa barabara au wanatembea wakibebwa na bodaboda wakiangushwa wakivunjwa.
Kenya National Union of Nurses Makueni Chapter Chairman Murioki wa Muroathika accused the Health Department of frustrating health workers, particularly those on contractual terms.
Kwa nini Makueni tangu 2014 kuna watu wameajiriwa na contract? Kwa nini mtu asione huruma aseme sasa hawa watoto wameserve enough for many years?
Meanwhile, Siaya nurses and clinical officers have vowed to keep off public health facilities as the ongoing medical staff strike entered day 10. The health workers, led by their union leaders, accused the two levels of government of lack of seriousness in addressing their grievances.
We are doing our 10th day, and we are not seeing anything tangible. That is why I'm urging our colleagues that the reggae is not stopping. We are continuing with this.
It therefore means that when we talk about a harmonious risk allowance, then who deserves it if it is not a nurse or a clinical officer?
Siaya Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Branch Secretary Kennedy Opio Omonde narrating his ordeal with COVID-19 and how he was forced to meet the accrued medical bills.
It's ironical that the services that we are offering as clinical officers, as nurses, we are not able to get those services when we really need them as patients. So that trend has to be reversed.
Among the issues health workers want addressed include improved risk allowance, comprehensive medical cover, employment of more staff to reduce workload, and provision of quality personal protective equipment while on duty. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Indeed, now, as promised, we want to cross over to the Senate, where the proceedings of the hearing and determination by removal by impeachment of the governor of Nairobi, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, was happening. We understand now that they have now finished that first session. We want to cross over to Gladys Mungai, who is our reporter on the ground, just to find out the updates of the proceedings. Gladys, what can you tell us from what you have seen there this morning?
Good afternoon, Allan. We are live from the Senate of Kenya, where the hearing of the impeachment case against the governor for Nairobi County, that is Mike Mbuvi Sonko, entered its day 2 and probably the final one, with the Senate getting to hear from his legal counsel. You remember that yesterday we had members of the County Assembly presenting their witnesses before the Senate and basically their evidence and stamping their case, the reason as to why they impeached the governor for Nairobi County and why that case needs to hold all water and the status quo in regards to that impeachment remaining. Today in the morning session, we heard from the senators, the governor for Nairobi County's legal team, presenting their evidence and matters to do with witnesses before the senators. We had a member of a county assembly claiming that the impeachment process was not followed and that the due procedure was not followed in that process, and claiming that the process was an illegal one. We also heard from a driver who claimed that during the process, when he was required to present some evidence before the county assembly, he was locked out of the county assembly premises, basically making it hard for the governor to appear before the members of the county assembly to defend himself. We also heard from a signature expert who claims that 88 signatures that were presented, that were appended by members of the county assembly, a section of those signatures are actually fake, and that basically tries to taint the whole impeachment process. We also heard from the governor himself, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, who claims that over 200 million shillings alleged to have been paid out to matters to do with bursaries that the members of county assembly claimed that they were paid to an illegal entity, and that money didn't go to what it was required to be paid out for. The governor says that a check was indeed written, but that money had not been paid out. That is technically trying to pour cold water on the cases by members of the county assembly in regards to that impeachment. We also had a case in the morning where the lead counsel for the governor, which technically this is their day, they are required to present their evidence as well as cross-examination of witnesses. They wanted to present about 7 witnesses, but owing to the fact that some affidavits were presented or were filed way before time, the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Ken Lusaka, only allowed for 4 witnesses to be presented before the Senate, adding to the governor, that would be 5 witnesses whom the Senate has had from today in regards to that case. So the Senate has just taken a break, and we resume at around 2:30 p.m. and what is supposed to transpire is that there is the expectation of cross-examination of witnesses, and then both parties, that is the county assembly as well as the governor's side, will have a chance to make their closing remarks, and the Senate will proceed for a closed session to get to determine how the case was presented, and thereafter they'll make the decision in regards to the governor's impeachment process. Technically, what I'm trying to say is that by end of today's session by the Senate, which are expected to again end at the wee hours of the evening, owing to the fact that yesterday's sitting was completed at around 9 p.m., is that the Senate will have to decide the fate of the governor for Nairobi County. That is the latest from the Senate at this hour. Back to you, Allan.
Indeed, thank you very much. Day 2 of the governor of Nairobi now presenting his side of the case to the Senate. We shall, of course, always inform you on the goings-on over there. Thank you very much, Gladys Mungai. And on a story almost similar to that one, Nyandarua County Assembly Speaker Wahome Ndegwa remains a wanted man as MCAs vow to continue with impeachment plans against him. The MCAs were on Wednesday forced to pin the impeachment notice on the county assembly's door after they found the premises locked with no staff in sight. The MCAs are accusing Ndegwa of gross violation of the Constitution, gross misconduct and incompetence.
These were the scenes at Nyandarua County Assembly on Wednesday as MCAs attempted to serve an impeachment notice to the office of the clerk seeking the removal of the Assembly Speaker Ndegwa Wahome. Despite being a weekday, no member of staff was present, less for security officers and the MCAs led by Majority Leader and North Kinangop MCA Edinand Kingori resulted to pinning the notice to impeach him on the door of the county clerk. The legislators accused Ndegwa of conflict of interest, where they allege he was an associate employee of his law firm, Ndegwa Wahome and Company Advocates, appointed as a member of Nyandarua County Assembly Service Board. They also accused Ndegwa of influencing the employment of 3 of his close relatives as employees of the Nyandarua County Assembly.
In the Chase Bank and Equity Bank, there is some account that with this assembly that actually being the board chair, he is not entitled to be. The other one is the nepotism. Have more than 5 members of the very same family in this assembly service staff. There are many allegations. There are many accounts in this motion.
Elsewhere, a man in National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi says recent results of the Msambweni by-election should be a wake-up call to politicians that Kenyans would like the leadership to listen more to what they feel and what they are saying, as opposed to imagining that they already know what the people want.
I just want to congratulate the people of Msambweni because following the demise of their former member of parliament, now they have an opportunity to have somebody else to serve them. It's good for democracy, and it's good that that has been dealt with. But I think the biggest message that comes out of the Msambweni by-election is that the voters there may have sent a message to the political leadership in this country that don't be presumptuous. Don't assume that you know what we want. Listen to us.
And a section of residents in Isiolo County supporting Faisal Bada candidature for the Msambweni seat broke into song and dance following the announcement that he had clinched the seat.
Economy ya Kenya imeenda down. BBI inapata pesa ya kuendesha campaign, wakati madaktari wanaumia, wako kwa mgomo, wagonjwa wanakosa huduma sababu ya madaktari wamegoma.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troenjue.
Well, we want to take our first short quick break now. When we return, more news, sports and business.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
A love from the past. spark the love from today.
I love you, Mauro. I love you like I have never loved before.
Now the same obsession that ruined the past will try to destroy the present. Only this time, love will have more than one obstacle ahead.
I need a doctor to tend to her right away. Please, miss. A doctor. Call a doctor.
Loving you is all I want.
In case you're just joining us, welcome to KBC Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Now, the late former Cabinet Minister Joe Nyaga will be laid to rest on Saturday at his home in Kamutungi Village, Bere South in Embu County. The former Cooperative Development Minister passed on while receiving treatment at a Nairobi hospital last week Friday. He is reported to have succumbed to COVID-19 related complications.
The family has lost our leader, but we have accepted that at some point, as the Bible says, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, that there is a time and a season to everything.
The final send-off for the late Joseph Nyaga will be held on Saturday at his home in Kamutungi Village in Bere South. The family stated that the funeral service will be led by ACK Nairobi Bishop retired Reverend Joel Waweru and conducted as per his wishes.
Joe's wish was to be buried next to our grandfather Joseph. And his wish was that his head should face the hills of Mbere. And we have acceded to that request that he put in his will.
They said he will be buried at a designated burial site where some of his family members and parents are buried. They have limited the number of those attending the ceremony to 1,000 only, owing to the COVID-19 regulations.
Therefore, we have a lot of public health people that will be around to ensure that people are washed, temperatures taken, and sanitized, and that they are seated at the designated open tent seats.
The ceremony is expected to kick off at 9 a.m. At the same time, a link to an online platform will be provided for those willing to follow the service virtually. The former ODM party Pentagon member and cabinet minister under the late President Daniel Moi and Mwai Kibaki administration passed on while receiving treatment at a Nairobi hospital last week Friday.
Sick, admitted in hospital on the 17th of November, and was in hospital until the 11th when he died.
He is reported to have succumbed to COVID-19 related complications.
Meanwhile, the government says it is engaging age-set leaders in communities to help fight female genital mutilation. Gender Chief Administrative Secretary Rachel Shebesh says the strategy has already shown a promise in areas such as Samburu and has now been extended to Narok County. The government aims to eradicate female genital mutilation by the year 2022.
The government says female genital mutilation is still being practiced widely in Kenyan communities despite ongoing eradication efforts. It is for this reason that the government, through the Anti-FGM Board, has endeavored to engage age-set leaders in a bid to stem the practice. Gender Chief Administrative Secretary Rachel Shebesh said focus should shift from the apprehension of culprits to ensuring communities understand the dangers associated with the vice.
Sasa hivi sasa ameingia kwa mkutano kubwa dunia mzima, wanamuita wanasema president wa Kenya ako na nguvu. Saidi hiyo nyingine kuna wamama na watu wengine wamekuja na picha ya wasichana wa Masai wakikatwa. Kwa unyenyekevu tutatumia njia gani ambayo haitavuruga.
Anti-FGM chairperson Agnes Pareyo said Narok County has been one of the worst affected counties, but things will improve with the help of the age sets.
So we now need to start from bottom up. And these are the people who matter, because these are cultural leaders who sit with their age sets, and they are the ones who decide on what will happen to the community. And now I think after hearing them talk, they talked and we saw that they are positive.
Sitaki kikataji. Kutoka mwaka hii, hiyo kitu wameamua yote machief wote machifu ya Kimaasai na wasikali na wananchi kwa jumla wamesema hiyo maneno wamekubali.
Meanwhile, Plan International in Machakos County has embarked on training program to save teenagers from early pregnancies.
We initiated as Plan International, we initiated this program so that they can be able to acquire life skills, that they will be able to change some of their behaviors, and we change the conversation and narrative about teenage pregnancy.
Hundreds of girls have graduated from the program after undergoing a 2-month training on behavior change and life skills.
Tumesomesha mambo yenye sisi wasichana na sisi vijana yanatusumbua. Kama venye mwenzangu hapa amesema, kuna mambo yenye tunaambia walimu wetu, wanatuambia, lakini wazazi, kuna venye unasimama na mzazi wako akina mwangalizi nasema kai useme nini na huyu.
Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Now, Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi and the Federation of Women Lawyers in Kenya, FIDA, have called for proper resourcing of the judiciary to enable it discharge its mandate effectively. Governor Kingi has in the meantime vouched for the court-annexed mediation, noting that justice would be dispensed fairly, even among people who may not have the financial means to pursue justice through litigation.
Speaking in Malindi during a leadership workshop for judicial officers drawn from Kilifi, Tana River and Lamu counties, Governor Kingi said lack of resources had led to a backlog of cases, thus denying quick justice to Kenyans.
But an ADR center where some rigid technical procedures are done away with, it becomes extremely conducive and accessible. And that's where true justice can be delivered. Because those who do know the law, those who don't know the law, will still have their day in that center.
Kingi said he had personally offered to donate land in Mtwapa for the construction of a courthouse, but the judiciary had been unable to take up the offer and build the court due to lack of budgetary provisions.
The budget of the judiciary keeps on shrinking. And however much you may want to deliver the best, however much you want to give us your best, as long as you don't have the tools to do that, you will not be able to give us or to live to your full potential as judicial officers.
Kingi said his administration had offered to assist in the setting up of an alternative dispute resolution center in a bid to help resolve civil matters without having to go through the court. FIDA Kenya Executive Director Anne Ireri noted that the federation had attended to almost 3 million women and families by giving solutions in litigation through mediation.
FIDA Kenya has been the leader in mediation, family mediation, especially within the region. And this is where we find alternatives to Kenyans. Instead of going to court to litigate, they have alternative dispute resolution, which is faster, it is cheaper, it is more efficient, it keeps families together. And so we remain committed with a vested interest to see how best we can popularize mediation in Kenya. And mediation will go a long way not only to preserve our families but our society.
Malindi High Court resident Judge Ruben Nyakundi said the judiciary had started training professional mediators, and noting that the court-annexed mediation will reduce the cost of litigation and issues would be handled through mediation.
Ile kitu ambao ingesaidia sana kwa judiciary ikipata resources, na resources zinaweza kurahisisha sana iwe ile kazi ambayo tunafanya, tupunguze kitu tunaitwa mzigo kwa wananchi, na pia tunaposema kuwa tunataka wananchi wapate kutilia sana manani ya mediation, itasaidia sana kwa ile unasema ngoja wakati makesi imeshindwa kumalizika kwa haraka katika mahakama zetu, wakiadopt mediation inaweza kusaidia pia kupunguza gharama ya kufanya kesi.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troenjue.
The government has been urged to consider reducing school levies to give parents a reprieve due to the economic situation in the country occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking in Busia Town, Teso South MP Geoffrey Omuse says tax waivers should be extended to schools when they reopen next year. Meanwhile, the government has kicked off the construction of a new primary school in Q Ward, Ruiru Sub-County, to decongest the overstretched Mwiki Primary School.
With schools set to fully reopen in 3 weeks, uncertainties looms over plans to hike school fees. Teso South legislator Geoffrey Omuse is appealing to government to instead consider reducing school levies to cushion parents in the country.
Ikiweza ijaribu kureduce levies na ione njia itasaidia, kama vile serikali wakati wa corona ilianza ilijaribu kureduce percentages za tax. Serikali ingejaribu sasa vile inasema itarudisha ile percentage, juzi rais alisema na Yatanya akaongea waziri wa fedha, wajaribu waangalie levies za mashule, sababu sasa hapa ndio wazazi wanaumia sana.
The legislator argued the tax waivers introduced in various sectors should be extended to schools. Also, the government has kicked off the construction of a new primary school in Q Ward, Ruiru Sub-County, to decongest the overstretched Mwiki Primary School.
Kama wakaji wa Manguo tuko na furaha sana kwa sababu watoto wetu wamekuwa wakienda mbali sana shule, lakini wengine wanaenda wakitegwa nyara, lakini saa hii tuko na shukrani kwa Mungu kwa sababu our area MP ametukumbuka kama wakaji wa Manguo Primary School.
Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony, Ruiru MP Simon Kangara said the government has already acquired a 3-acre piece of land at Manguo area in Githurai 45 for the new school.
Changamoto kubwa, kunaona kuna mashule mengine yako na zaidi ya watoto 4,000 kwa shule moja, na ndio tukaona umuhimu wa kuongeza mashule katika eneo hili. Hii ni kujaribu kungangana na janga la corona na vile vile msongamano wa watoto.
He noted that the government has injected 7 million shillings into the project, which will go a long way in decongesting popular schools in the area, among them Kimbo and Kwang'ethe primary schools.
Kuna changamoto kubwa ya stakabadhi au cheti miliki za mashamba na za wananchi, na ikafanya miradi hasa miradi ya umma kuwa imewachwa nyuma kidogo, lakini tumeweza kupata ofisi ya mashamba hapa, na saa hii tumeweza kuwa na title deed zaidi ya 9,000 ikiwemo mashamba ya umma.
A school project which will accommodate 1,500 learners is expected to be complete in 3 months. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
The Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitians Institute has urged the government to employ more nutritionists to meet the rising demand in the country. KNDI Chief Executive Officer David Aoko says Kenya currently has a paltry 10,000 nutritionists against a growing population that is in constant need of nutrition services.
Speaking during a virtual graduation of 871 nutritionists and dietitians, Aoko said Kenya must recognize the intrinsic role played by nutrition in efforts to achieve the universal health coverage.
So we need to channel more nutritionists to support the preventive component of USC, and also to join in the team that are working very hard at the curative level, particularly those who are undergoing clinical nutrition, to join in the management of diseases, both non-communicable and infectious.
Aoko said there is need to bring on board more nutritionists in different cadres to continue serving Kenyans, especially in public health centers.
So we expect that when these professionals are out, then they will serve Kenya to the best of their knowledge after this licensing award.
The 871 graduates will join other 10,000 registered colleagues in efforts to meet a growing demand for nutritionists in the country. Yusuf Far, Channel 1 News.
Now, police have impounded 100 vehicles in a crackdown on traffic. Let me take that again. Police have impounded 100 vehicles in a crackdown on traffic offenders along the Kisumu-Kakamega highway. Police Commissioner Mary Omari says the vehicles were found to have contravened various traffic rules and COVID-19 containment measures.
The government is moving to tame road carnage ahead of this year's festivities. A crackdown mounted along the Kisumu-Kakamega highway saw the police impound 100 vehicles for various traffic offences and failure to adhere to COVID-19 containment protocols. Those arrested are expected to appear in court to answer various traffic offence charges. The government is urging Kenyans to observe road safety and obey traffic rules to help stem road carnage this festive season.
And now a tree planting exercise aimed at contributing towards Kenya's sustainable development has kicked off in Kisii County. The program, which is a collaboration between a local bank and the Kenya Forest Service, is targeting to plant 35 million seedlings in the country as part of ongoing efforts to expand Kenya's forest cover.
Environmentalists are planning to plant over 23,000 trees in Kisii County. The program is part of a countrywide exercise aimed at expanding Kenya's forest cover as well as spur sustainable development.
I'm happy that they're calling forward for partnering with that organizations so that they can move this agenda forward.
Over the next couple of months, 35 million trees will be planted in public spaces, schools and institutions such as hospitals and correctional facilities.
This is what we are encouraging so that we can support our environment.
Kenya is looking to achieve a 10% forest cover as part of an ongoing global campaign to combat climate change.
These were the scenes that characterized
Oljorai in Gilgil sub-county following the death of one person as two rival groups clashed over a parcel of land. The two groups, including Solai Ruyo Bay Farm and Oljorai Land Buying Company, are locked in a land tussle over the demarcation of 8,000 acres piece of land.
These were the scenes that characterized Oljorai in Gilgil sub-county. This is after two groups clashed over the planned demarcation of an 8,000-acre piece of land. Security personnel were deployed to calm the tension and disperse the warring groups who were armed with bows, arrows and clubs. The area county commissioner Erastus Mwenda urged the groups not to incite each other into acts of lawlessness.
Will find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Continue with our patrols until we ensure that there is a lasting calm. A warning for those others who are intending to do such things to keep off because they'll find themselves on the wrong side of the law.
He pointed out already there was an appeal at the courts and both parties should await the court's verdict.
We've not really been able to identify or to understand what informed their decision to invade this area, but we understand that they were armed with arrows and bows, of which there was a standoff for quite some time until at around 11 when the police intervened.
One faction maintains the court had granted ownership to Solai Ruyo Bay Farm after winning the case demanding for the resettlement of 1,300 of their members after they acquired the land in 1992.
There is a court order. Even if there is a claim of right that somebody feels entitlement to any parcel of land, there are legal processes that ought to be followed.
However, Oljorai Land Buying Company Peter Olesono said Olare's group had been served with court orders barring them from setting foot on the land until the matter before the Court of Appeal is heard and determined.
Hiyo kesi iko appeal na bado tunangojea court itatue, sababu wale watu ambaye wako hapa ni wenyeji na wote wako na title na shamba imekuwa demarcated na kila moja.
Kwa muda mrefu kutoka 1992 mpaka sasa mpaka leo bila kuingia hii shamba. Sisi tulikuwa wasee zamani, ilikuwa kijana mpaka leo sasa nakuwa wasee. Ameendelea sasa kuaga. Sasa tukaamua nataka hii shamba yetu. Na sisi tutaki vita. Hatutaki vita. Nataka tuishi kwa amani, tuishi na ndugu.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
All right, let's take our second break now. We'll be right back.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua fridge. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Of course. Kinadu is to blame for the world coming down. Kinadu is to blame for the recent floods. Blame me even for the potholes on the road. Blame me for your stupidity. Blame me even for you coming to grocery.
Wow, Julia. You mean you are shining in gold nowadays?
Look at this Dokon. Do you even listen to yourself before you speak?
Oh, please. We both know that I am a giver. Go spoil yourself, I know you need it.
Well, thank you. I am not giving you a cut, Farah.
If you are referring into Kinanzui, you should know Kinanzui is no longer the watchman.
They have found someone else. This one used to behave like yours the old school.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back. It's time to transact. Now, a section of farmers that belong to the Kenya tea sector lobby want court cases filed against the tea bill that was passed by Parliament last week dropped, urging President Uhuru Kenyatta to assent to the bill. The farmers say the reforms presented in the bill will greatly improve the welfare of tea farmers across the country.
An agitated lot of tea farmers. Their pleas concerning the hotly contested tea bill. The National Assembly earlier in December passed the much-awaited tea bill, which will see the revival of Tea Board of Kenya and adoption of new regulations to govern the cartel-soaked sector. The tea bill, sponsored at the Senate by Kericho Senator Aaron Cheriot, if passed, will see tea brokers, buyers and auction organizers ensure that the proceeds from the sale of tea is paid within 14 days, and the factory will now pay 50% of receipt of sales to the farmers. This will mean that Kenya Tea Development Agency KTDA, which has been holding a huge chunk of the proceeds for a year, will no longer have access to the tea billions since the money will now be controlled at the factory level. The balance of the money will be paid at the end of the financial year. This has seen KTDA move to court, something a section of tea growers are now protesting.
Tunaenda kuambia mahakama na tuambie KTDA hawatatumia pesa tena ya wakulima majani chai, kwa sababu KTDA haina majani chai, majani ni yetu. Kwa hivyo tunataka kuhimiza kama sisi wakulima majani chai, hiyo makesi yote waondoe kotini, kwa sababu wanatumia milioni 200 kupea mawakili na kupea majanji. Kwa hivyo tunahimiza sisi kama wakulima majani chai, hiyo kesi tumewapatia siku 7, waondoe hiyo makesi yote katika kotini, mkulima apate pesa.
Hawana budi ila tu ni kuondoa hiyo makesi, kwa sababu mwenye chai ndiye anaongea. Wao wenyewe sio wenye chai. Hawa wakulima ndiye wenye chai, na kwa hivyo lazima waondoe hiyo makesi.
The farmers decry what they term as the proliferation of shadowy figures that want to maintain a status quo that will see their tea revenues taken from them. They are now calling on the head of state to intervene.
Presidenti wetu hiyo mambo imepitishwa, akipelekewa aweke sahihi, na hao wenye wamekula hiyo pesa wote wafanyiwe audit, ndio corruption Kenya iishe. Juu imeanzia kutoka KTDA, kutoka wapi? Hapa Kenya tumeumia sana wakulima.
Management agencies will no longer enter into an agreement with a tea factory without the approval of the agreement by the tea board if the bill is assented by the president. KTDA has previously been accused of taking powers of the factory boards and running the farmers' companies by entering into opaque agreements.
Facing dwindling returns from miraa farming, farmers in Meru County have been forced to rethink their future without the famous herb. After the United Kingdom and Somalia, two of Kenya's biggest miraa markets, banned the crop years ago, many farmers have diversified into sunflower farming, which has a shorter maturity period and fetches better yields.
In Igembe North, the former green farms are now teeming with yellow flowers from blooming sunflower fields. After years of uncertainty due to export bans placed on cart by key export markets, farmers in Meru County have found a new hobby in sunflower farming.
It has been a project that has really helped me as a youth. I planted my crop in October, and I believe in 3 months' time, that December, I'll be harvesting my crop.
Through support from Bidco Africa and Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, the venture seeks to mobilize farmers in the miraa growing zones to do sunflower farming as a complementary venture.
We started by mobilizing the farmers who are registered, then we issued them with the seeds. Kutoka wakadima, na unaona, we were telling them that the crop is drought resistant. They approved it, it is drought resistant, it is fast growing. Shida ya wakulima most of the time ni soko, lakini hii ukulima wetu hii watujinue tena, uko na rent market.
Pasja says the agribusiness project will help in building the resilience of smallholder farmers against the twin challenge of climate change and COVID-19 through investment and promotion of drought-resistant crops.
So it's a climate resilient project, and this is what we are calling locally led climate action. You can see we are not starting from Nairobi. We are not starting from African Union and quarters in Addis Ababa. We are not starting from New York in the UN. We are starting from local level.
Bidco, on the other hand, says the manufacturer is targeting more than 3,000 farmers in semi-arid parts of Igembe to raise production of sunflower to meet its demand of 10,000 metric tons for sunflower oil production.
In 1 acre, we expect to get 1,000 kilograms in terms of output. Yeah, so in terms of management practices, is cost effective. You use very little cash in terms of labor and or other requirements.
Mithika says the sunflower farming project, dubbed Tujiinue, addresses most of the farmers' challenges as it is drought resistant and has a guaranteed market from the manufacturer. This will support farmers to supplement their food, nutrition and financial sources.
West Pokot County plans to boost its dairy production through the distribution of pedigree dairy cows at a cost of 10 million shillings to local farmers. The county, through its Department of Agriculture, is set to complete the distribution of high-yield bulls to crossbreed with indigenous cows to boost production.
West Pokot County is looking to scale up the production of dairy milk by changing the animal breeds from the traditional Zebu to high-yield breeds such as Frisian and Ganzi. The county government has embarked on a 10 million shillings project that will see pedigree dairy bulls distributed to farmers around the county.
Leo tumeleta ng'ombe ya hali ya juu dume, selected from very high breed mashamba ya ADC. So we work with Pokot County government, works in collaboration with Agricultural Development Corporations for national government. Na dume ambayo umeona sasa tumenunua zaidi ya karibu dume 200. The first one to be delivered karibu 70 sasa. Tunashukisha malori yanakuja na mmejionea breed.
Officials say the area produces milk with high butter content whose market demand is high. The county plans to construct a milk processing plant through which value addition will increase farmers' pay.
West Pokot has decided, and we have purpose, to move to very high dairy and quality meat as well for the lowlands. So hii dairy bulls tumelete, tumeongeza pia na AI services tabadilisha ng'ombe ya West Pokot County.
Na la mwisho ni kuhimiza pia research institutions kama Kaldo na wengine pia wakuje, wasikae tu sehemu moja. Sehemu hii pia wakuja wafanye utafiti kwa njia mingi ili pia tupate kusaidia wakulima wetu.
The US has labeled Switzerland and Vietnam currency manipulators, accusing the countries of intervening to limit the rise of their currencies against the dollar. It says 10 other countries are also warranting monitoring, including China, Japan, South Korea and Germany. The US has further added Taiwan, Thailand and India to the watch list. The United States says Vietnam wanted to keep the cost of its exports low, while Switzerland's destination was due in part to its response to financial turmoil from the pandemic. Switzerland rejected the label, saying it remained willing to intervene more strongly in the market, while Vietnam did not comment. Elsewhere, 10 US states led by Texas are suing Google, accusing it of taking illegal steps to preserve its monopoly over the online advertising market. The alleged moves include striking a deal with Facebook to manipulate online advertising auctions. Facebook declined to comment, while Google rejected the claims, saying it will be strongly defending itself in court. And aerospace giant Boeing is reportedly hiring 160 pilots to be embedded at airlines in a bid to help the 737 MAX return to smooth service. It says the new global engagement pilots will act as instructors or cockpit observers on 35-day assignments. Qualifications being that pilots in the program must have 1,000 hours of instructor experience and no incidents, accidents, losses or violations, and be licensed on the 737 and other Boeing jetliners. Finally, Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high, breaking through $20,000 mark. The volatile virtual currency has gained more than 170% this year amid stock market turmoil. On Wednesday, Bitcoin jumped 4.5% to as much as $20,440, buoyed by demand from large investors keen on its potential for quick profits. There is also expectations that it may gain more widespread traction as a payment method from the likes of Starbucks and Microsoft. But it has been a bumpy ride for the investors, with the cryptocurrency passing the $19,000 mark in November before dropping sharply. Bitcoin is widely traded much like real currencies such as the pound and the US dollar. But it also has growing support as a form of payment, with PayPal among the most recent adopters of digital currencies. time to keep fit, Manchester United will move up to 6th on the Premier League table on equal points with Everton if they manage to collect 3 points away to Sheffield United tonight. United forward Edinson Cavani is unlikely to be risked as he continues to recover from a minor muscle injury. Now Marcos Rojo has suffered a setback with his calf injury, while Phil Jones will also not be fit until January. Liverpool secured a vital win against Tottenham to move clear at the top, while Arsenal drew with Southampton as Leicester lost to Everton.
Roberto Firmino's last-minute header broke Tottenham's stubborn resistance at Anfield and sent Liverpool to the top of the Premier League table.
Still going. It might break, they arrive in and they score through Roberto Firmino, and it is an absolute bullet.
Saka does really well here to stay on his feet. Aubameyang is in, and yes!
In Spain, Barcelona came from behind to beat Real Sociedad 2-1 and knock them off top spot in La Liga.
He can't get to it. Jordi Alba can! Barcelona are level. Messi to Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba's crossed to Jong, and it's 2-1. The flag is up. It's not 2-1.
But it's an example of what they haven't been doing well. I mean, I think we should see instantly that it has to be allowed, in which case the ball in is good, the finish is good. A really nice way to open up one of the best defensive teams in Spain.
And that's the end of the bulletin. But before we go, a very special happy birthday to John Muhika, who is our director here at KBC Channel 1 News. Wapi keki bana? But for now, we'll see you next time. We can, of course, interact on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, A_76 on Twitter and the rest of other social media platforms. Let's keep interacting. Bye for now.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved